All right, welcome back to Inspire Youth, and GNation is in the building. So GNation, you mentioned that in 2009 you relaunched your brand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you do that? What would you say is your, selling point, your core competence in this industry?
I think I give people what they need. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I want this, I want that, I want this to be like this, I want that to be like that," and sometimes. Maybe I don't know. You could call it. It's my background in architecture of how things should be.
Okay.
Or you say it's my conservative way of life.
Yeah.
How I grew up.
Yeah.
Or some people will say maybe it's just a grace in me that I think has been sort of molded
and shaped. Yeah.
So I personally, for my brand, have a way guys should look. It's a menswear brand.
Yeah.
I think guys should look a certain way. I think when you wear some things, you should look a certain way. There are some things I frown at completely when I see it being done a certain way.
Yeah.
So for my brand, I tailor things to the way I think, let me put it, to the way I think the world should look like, to the way I think men should look. There are clients who I've met who they tell you, "Oh, I want a suit fitted," but they can't really move in it when they wear a fitted suit. So
that's funny.
I tell them, "No problem, I'll get you a good fit, but I won't make it fitted."
That's the one.
Yeah.
All right, so what really gives you fashion designers inspiration? Where do you get your inspiration?
Inspiration, you get it from anywhere. I mean, anywhere you can get it. I get some inspiration from female wear. I get inspiration from colors. I get inspiration anywhere. I mean, I get inspiration from other designers. Truth be told, I get inspiration when if I see maybe another designer did something else, or I see a kaftan or I see a shirt looking a certain way, and think, "Oh, okay, I like this look. Why don't we try looking like this? Let me sketch it out. Let's try it out at the workshop. Oh, it looks cool. Oh, it doesn't look cool. Let's tweak it here, let's tweak it there, let's tweak it there." Then I find somebody who has the adventurous spirit to be able to try out what we have recreated from something. The person either likes it or doesn't like it. I try it out with another person who doesn't like it or likes it. And at the end of the day, we decide whether it's something that begins to roll out of our studios or not at all. So those are one of the things I mentioned, that it's not every idea that comes out. There are some ideas that are ideas. You keep them there, it's not for its time. Okay. I remember in secondary school, I designed a one-strap dress for ladies, actually. And this was before the time when monostrap used to work.
As it is now.
Yes. So I designed it. A few of my female friends saw it then. "Oh, okay, cool, it really looks nice. But we don't know where we can get this from. We haven't seen it before." And I didn't pay heed to it. I mean, I was just thinking, I just doodled and sketched it out and said, "Oh, this would look actually nice." This was even before me thinking about having a clothing line. Yeah. And it was years later that I saw a monostrap dress, now whether runway or out and about, being mass produced, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't even think about it then until a friend of mine reminded me one time, "Can't you remember when you designed something that did one dress like that? I didn't have one hand, didn't have a sleeve." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I did. Oh, wow. Oh, so this is what they wow, cool, okay. So maybe you are doing something right."
So have you started? You archive all your plans and your ideas as much as they succeed?
Yes and no. I keep most of my designs in my head. Most ideas, like a lot of whiles ago, I'll sketch out everything. Yeah. But then nowadays, I find that I think through the ideas.
Okay.
I run some things through my mind.
You process them first.
Process them first, and then when I come out, when I'm good with taking out things, that's when I sketch it out. Once I sketch it out, usually most times that's what stays. we still need to go through the process of whether it's something that can sell or not sell, and then we work it out.
How long does that process take, and where do you process these thoughts? Is it over a cup of tea, early in the morning, late at night?
No, I process anytime I think about it. If it pops up in my head when I'm sleeping, I'll think about it. If it pops up in my head when I'm driving, I'll think through it. If it pops up when I'm drinking the tea or not drinking the tea or
okay, so anytime, basically.
Anytime. As long as it comes up, and inspiration is funny because you might be thinking a certain way and then you see something else that kind of put together makes it, okay, this might work with this. So that's why the editing comes in. So that's why I think through some things.
Okay.
Because if I sketched every idea I had, I probably would be wasting paper.
All right, let me ask you this about the fashion industry. You mentioned the trend setters, and now you've mentioned that you actually designed the moonstrap before now, but then
I am not lying claim to
you're not laying claim.
Before,
I'm just saying you did that. My point is fashion is there? You made a statement, there's nothing new under the sun. Is fashion on replay? Is there fashion and fashion style and fashion design? Is anything really new?
I would say this. Present day fashion takes a lot of inspiration from fashion past.
That's life.
Generally people take inspiration from history, or let me put it like this: history, as they say, repeats itself. Then sneakers of the 1970s, 1980s
are
now back.
So indeed history
repeats itself. So you generally have things coming back. Definitely. You have more people wearing like print type long sleeve shirts. As like 70s, they may not be like open chest, but they are prints. Psychedelic prints. You are wearing printed shirts.
That's right.
So all of those things are stuff that are coming back.
All right.
The same thing with ladies wear. The same thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Nigerian fashion industry. It seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
It seems to be doing pretty well.
It's grown in leaps and bounds over the years.
But what does it lack right now? What would you like to see? Structure. Tell me about that.
There's a structure lacking in how things are done, in partnership, in processing, and in skill. Like we said earlier, anybody can start a clothing line, whether you have no training or minimal training or the whole world of training. You can start a fashion label if you wanted to, but then somebody has to make the clothes.
Okay.
What happens with most people is, I have an idea for a fashion line, and Tolu, can you get me tailors? Or I'm looking for tailors. I want tailors who can work with me.
Okay.
3/4 of the time you have these tailors who they're not bad, but they're not perfect. And I'm not one for looking for perfection in tailors.
Yeah.
But then you have tailors who, once it's not working for them, work ethic is lacking. They have a certain way they do their things.
Okay.
And if you begin to question the way they do their things, it becomes, no, this guy, I can't work with him. That's on the production side.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that work ethic is a challenge in this industry.
No.
I'm surprised that this is what you're saying.
It's really not exactly a surprise because you go to school to study.
Study everything you do. Okay.
How many tailoring schools do we know about? There are not that many.
Yeah.
The few that are training, yes, they train you. They tell you that, okay, we're training you for 6 weeks. Come and learn tailoring in 6 weeks. Come and learn tailoring in 3 months. Come and learn tailoring in 6 months.
Yeah.
Come and learn tailoring in 1 year.
Yeah.
There are schools like that. And I'm not saying that the schools are not teaching well. But people assume that, once I go into that school and I learn and I come out, I'm a fashion designer. Internationally, you have people who, they are tailors. That is their job. They do not claim or form to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
They don't want to be the one to be responsible for designing the clothes.
All right.
Their work is the tailoring of the garments.
It's to cut and stitch together.
Even that same tailoring industry, you have people whose only job is to cut. Ask them to sew, they're telling you that is not my job. all. I am a pattern maker. I make patterns and I cut them for garments.
So that's the structure you're talking about.
That is the structure. We need to bring in things like that.
Okay, these chains of the
yes.
On the
there's a value chain. There's a production line.
Yes.
And then you even have also internationally. One of the things you have are production units. Production units where you have rows and rows of both tailors, pattern makers, and even finishers. Call them finishers.
Yeah.
People who make sure that buttons are properly done. People who make sure that buttonholes are properly made. People who make sure that that a collar is not askew. Okay. You know, you have lines, production lines like that. As the pattern maker has cut, he gets it to the cutter. Cutter maker cuts it, gets it to the tailor. Tailor sews it, gets it to the finisher. Finisher is putting all the necessary bells and whistles.
Wow.
And so there's a whole production line that in Nigeria we do not have. 3/4 of the fashion companies, right? Yes. I'll call them fashion lines. Fashion companies don't have that kind of structure in place. And unfortunately, because everybody basically goes out on a whim to start this kind of clothing business, and they either do it like this, where I have an idea for a fashion line, I'm very passionate about a fashion business, I go into it, you go to meet one tailor here which I'll be honest, what I did when I started, we found tailors who could do some of the work we did, what we wanted to have done. What we did, we designed, selected fabric, took it to the tailors. Can you do this? This is the sample of what we are thinking about. This is how we are thinking it should be done. Can you cut it and sew it? Sometimes they got it, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes we got whatever it was that they gave to us. Wow. But then you generally work, but by the time you begin to grow, you generally begin to learn how to work around these skill sets. Like I don't sew, I just run the business. I will tell people, anybody who cares to ask, people say, are you not a tailor? Call me a tailor if you want, but I don't even know how to cut, I don't know how to sew. I have the knowledge, I have studied, I have read, I have
never done,
but I've never been the one to cut it. And here is why.
People tend to think that to do this business you must have gone through such training.
There is a necessity to do so.
Okay.
And I'll tell anybody who wants to go into it, please do so, whether it is a serious thing or whether it is something you just learn just to have the information about. Okay. But you do need to know what it is that you're doing. All right. Back then, I'll say even, well, it was never a how should I call it? It was never a choice to not learn how to do some certain things. It's never okay to say, oh, I don't know how to do it, so I don't know how to do it. Let it be. Now you have so much information. You have so much opportunities to be able to actually learn these things. I mean, when I started my business, the only tailors I knew were the guys, that guy down the road, that guy that has one small tailoring shop, 4 people with table in front, something at the back. Those were the people I knew. I was working school, I was working work. I would say, oh, let me go and learn if I wanted to learn, but not that I thought about learning it like that. And over the years, one of the major things I thought about was, look, as much as I would love to learn how to cut and sew, as much as I want to learn how to make sure I join the garments properly together, who's going to run the business? Who's going to make sure that you're marketing? Who's going to make sure your design is going out, your design team is working, you are doing everything from logos to the graphic work, you're doing everything from how to push the business forward, you're doing everything from finding the business itself, because I mean, you have, as much as you would rely on referrals, you need to be in positions where you can open yourself up to business opportunities. So between all of this, what time really am I going to sit down in front of a machine or pot and do all of that? It's not sustainable. Very true. So here is what you do. You get the right team that can work all this magic out. Okay. And when it comes to Nigeria, as far as structure is, because these things are not in place, it's not easily attainable. It has a lot to do with managing people. Yes. But because I mean, I'm sure people have heard this, my tailor disappointed.
Oh, a lot.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard, oh, the tailor didn't get the design. Oh, the tailor ran away with my fabric and money. All of those things. Yes, you will have them. I have to constantly contend with even people like that who will tell me, I hope you're not that type of tailor. I understand perfectly, and I don't take it in anger or annoyance. But the fact of the matter, because these things are not in place, the truth of the matter is this: if they are good people who know how to do good work, and they are a lot more than they are presently, people naturally begin to gravitate away from people who don't do good work.
Very true.
The people who now don't do good work would realize that we're not making money here. Why exactly are we not making? Let us go and find
how to do it better.
All right. Training maybe is one thing that maybe a lot of tailors need in the world, which I am an advocate for. They need serious training. I like to, like for instance, the people who work with me, I like to sit with them at some points and have a talk. Not just a talk, but okay, this is the way it's done internationally. See, this is what they do outside the country. This is where we are going. This is how we should do it. Right. The way you are doing it, it's not bad, but what if we just did this? What if we just did this?
Okay.
How will it work like this?
All right, so GNation is taking us to that place where we need to be, and we'll be right back after this short break. Don't go nowhere. Work has improved over time. What I'm wearing, what you're wearing, I know this was designed by you and made by you. All right, so what can you tell the African designer, the Nigerian designer, on how to aspire onto excellence in the fashion industry?
First off, I'm still aspiring to excellence. The work is always, for me, a work in progress. We're still trying to get better than we were yesterday, get better than we were last year. And I think for every entrepreneur, whether it's fashion, business, anything, the idea is make sure you're always constantly trying to get better than you were yesterday. Excellence is always a thing of practice. You can't wish to be excellent all of a sudden. You can't wish to all of a sudden you're producing at a Louis Vuitton type of standard, especially with fashion, or whether you're producing at a Picasso style in terms of arts, or whether even if it's engineering or even being a doctor, you can't just all of a sudden wake up and become the best brain surgeon or the best doctor ever. It's always a work in progress. And when I mean a work in progress, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work and you have to do it smart. You can't just afford to say, I'm learning, and maybe today you check Google and then all of a sudden you branch off to the Nigerian and you're there for like 3 hours. No offense to the Nigerian or any blogspot, but the idea is you need to put in the hours, you need to put in the work. Knowledge is power, knowledge is information, is everywhere. Get as much information and work smart into making sure that information is translated into product, into purpose.
Thank you very much for watching Inspire You. Thank you very much, GNation, for being on the show today. See you at the next episode. Peace out. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all good stuff. See you soon.